Someone once said success is goal setting and all else is commentary. We're going to be talking about one of the new keys to success. I say the word new, not because it's naturally a new key. I use the word new because it's a new key that we're talking about in this series. And the key is goals. Goals. If you want to be successful, if you want to continue to become successful, if you want to increase the level of your success, one of the most important things you need is to understand the importance of setting goals and knowing how to achieve them. But let's go back a step. What is a goal? Well, a goal is simply a description of what you really want. There's a sequence of steps that you must take in order to achieve success. And it all begins by knowing what you want. And that is where goal setting comes in. Having the knowledge, maybe not the entire picture of how you're going to do it, but just knowing within your heart, having a desire for something. If you have a desire for something and you know what you want, and you're happy and you're confident enough to put it in writing, then what you've done is you've taken the first step towards goal setting, which is decide what you want and then write it down. Once you've written it down, you must give it a timeline. You must crystallize that idea that is now in written form by giving it some permanence, give it some a timeline for its achievement. Otherwise, what you have is hazy goals. A goal that is so far into the future that you're not inspired to begin, or you have a goal that is so close in the present that it gives you too much stress to even know where to start. So you must choose realistic timelines and deadlines. So now you know what you want, you've written it down, you've given it a timeline for its achievement, and the next step is then to come up with a plan which is a step-by-step process on how you're going to move from where you are to where you're trying to get to. Now let's bring both concepts together, success and goals. If you know where you are in life, and you know where you're trying to get to, and you're moving progressively in that direction, from where you are towards your desired destination, then we say that you're successful. In other words, success is the progressive realization and pursuit of a worthy goal. The progressive realization, meaning you've achieved it, or the pursuit, meaning that you're on the path towards achieving it, of a desired goal. That is success. And finding joy in the process is the icing on the cake, meaning that you're fulfilled with what you're doing. It's something that you love to do. That is success. And so goal setting is a must if you're going to be successful. I remember back in the 1970s, I may have gotten the particular year wrong, but back in the 1970s, a study was done by Yale University. There was a group of graduating students, and they interviewed all of them. Amongst all of the interviewed students, what they found was fascinating, that only about 3% of the entire group had their goals written down. A few others had their goals, they could tell you what they wanted, but they were more like wishes. They didn't have them crystallized, they didn't have a plan for achieving those. Now, what this research concluded was something that I think should inspire you to take action towards becoming good at goal setting. A number of years after they had interviewed their students, they went back and they tracked down each and every one of those students. By this time, these young students were either married, they were working professionals, they were living their life as normal. What they found was the 3% of people who had actually captured their goals in writing and who had a plan, they found that they were more successful financially. I want to clarify that so you understand. They were more successful financially compared to the 97% combined. And they tried to come up with reasons and to try and understand how that was possible. And they came up with a really simple conclusion, which makes sense. And that was simply that each of those 3% of those students achieved the success that they desired simply because, number one, they knew what they wanted. They had written it down. They had a plan, and they were working every day towards the fulfillment of that dream. Very simple, kind of makes sense. You take a boat, for example, you put it on an ocean and you don't give it a sail, and you don't put a captain, or you don't put someone setting the sails. What happens? Well, the gale forces will perhaps drive the boats hither and thither, and eventually, who knows, it might end up in a deserted island, or perhaps it might capsize. Take the same boat, put a sail on it, put a captain, someone who can set the sail, and what you find is it becomes much easier for that boat to arrive at the desired destination. The reason being, the captain or the person in charge has an idea about where they're trying to get to. Number two, they have a sail. And by setting the sails in the right direction, they can use the gale forces to channel and lead them in the direction of their dreams. And that's what you and I have to do if we want to become successful. We must start by asking ourselves, what do I really, really, really want? And then just write it down. Once you've written it down, ask yourself the next question. When would I want to have achieved this goal? Make it realistic and put a date. And then ask yourself the next question. And I think this is very important. Who would I have to become to be worthy of achieving this goal? And this is important because it's not the goal that is the most vital part of the whole process. No. The goal achievement is a secondary experience. The most important experience is the person you have to become to be deserving of achieving the goal. You see, on the way from where you are to where you're trying to get to, you're going to have obstacles. You're going to have detours. You're going to have experiences. And it's those obstacles and detours and experiences that form and shape your character and provide you with a learning experience that makes you deserving of that goal. So that when you've arrived at the destination, you don't only have the results you want, you've now become the kind of person in skill, in attitude, in behavior, in style, perhaps also in your ability to think and in wisdom, who can actually replicate the goal. So you can get to a point at the desired destination, you achieve the goal, and you lose it. But if you notice, most people who have gone about achieving success the right way recognize something that is interesting. And I'm going to use money as a good example. Most people say that the first million you make is very hard. The second million you make is inevitable. Why? Because if you've done it the right way and you've applied discipline and good judgment and hard work and persistence, and you pay the price through sacrifice, and you've developed the skills and the talents and the gifts, and you've been consistent in continuous learning, even if you lose the goal, even if you lose the results at the end, you've now become the kind of person deserving of the goal, which means you can recreate the goal in a shorter time period. So when we talk about setting goals, one of the things I want to encourage you about setting goals in relation to success is this. You and I have a potentiality that is unlimited. But I don't know what unlimited means because I've never experienced it. And you do not know what unlimited means because you haven't experienced it. Between where you are now and that unlimited potential that you have, that you were born with, you and I have a choice to make. So you set goals to find out what you're capable of achieving. That's so beautiful. You set goals not to get things, but to find out what you're capable of achieving. I want to be a beautiful tennis player. I set a goal to become a good tennis player. I don't know how good a tennis player I'm going to become. Well, I'm going to set the first goal to become an intermediate tennis player, an advanced, maybe a professional. And the more I move towards the desired destination, the more I'm realizing what I'm capable of achieving. So your goals are there to help you understand your potential. Number two, when you choose your goals, recognize that you're giving up a part of your life for the achievement of that goal. Every day we wake up in the morning, I don't know who you are or what you do, but every day you wake up in the morning, you have a number of activities that you must fill your day with. So every hour of the day, you're exchanging a part of your life, because time is life. You're exchanging a part of your life for what you do. And so one of the most important things that we all have to understand is every day we're trading our life for our goals. Whether you've intentionally chosen the goals or whether someone else has designed your goals for you. You know, if you don't have a plan for your life, then you're certain to fall under someone else's plan. And unfortunately, they may not have a great plan for you. But every day, you're exchanging your life for what you do. So part of the reason we make goal setting a conscious, deliberate experience and exercise is because we want to design the life that we want to experience. We don't just want to earn a living. We don't want to just exist. We want to design the life that is right for us so that at every point in time, we can look back and we can say, what a life. Whoa, what a life. You know, it's interesting, but also very sad that at the end of most people's lives, about 85% of people look back at their lives and they say, with sadness and regret, they say, I could have had a different life. Some say, I could have lived a different experience. I could have been a different person, but I didn't have the courage to do what my heart was asking me to do. So we set goals to break through that barrier of fear. We set goals to give us that momentum, to give us that inspiration, to give us that hope, to build the passion we need to get off the launching pad of our dreams. We dream big dreams, but big dreams remain big dreams. We set goals by bringing those dreams into real and imaginable form to give us the momentum, to get off the launching pad of our dreams, to go shoot for the moon. You know, Les Brown used to say, shoot for the moon, and even if you miss, at least you land amongst the stars. But to shoot for the moon, you need to have a target. That target is the goal. So we set goals to grow, to learn, to develop, to become, to find out what we're all capable of achieving. And more than anything, we set goals so that at the end of our lives, we can look back with happiness and excitement and some level of, I would say, arrogance, if you want to use that word. We can look back in life and say, I gave it my best shot. I could have done more, yes, but I gave it a good crack. So if you want to be successful, and this applies to any area of life, relational, financial, business, health, emotional well-being, spiritual well-being, you need to become a good and an exceptional goal setter. Someone who gets up every day with clarity about what they're going to do that day. Someone who goes to bed with confidence that they attempted to achieve all of the goals and activities that they have planned for that day, but on someone who knows that they're going to wake up the next morning with excitement and enthusiasm and anticipation because of what they know they're about to do again. I think goal setting is something that we should all have at the back of our minds on a daily basis. Remember this, if you can set good goals and you can set big goals, you have the ability to achieve success. But I'll give you a tip before I close, and this is my tip from my personal experience. I want you to think about setting big goals. Now, you might be somewhat terrified by the fact that it's such a big goal, and I think that's the kind of goal you want. Why? Because you only have one life to live, and you want this life to be the most amazing life, so that you can look back and say, whoa, I did it. So it's always important to set big goals, goals that scare you, and goals that excite you at the same time. I'll say that again. Develop the habit of setting goals that scare you, that terrify you. The thought of achieving it, you're just thinking, I can't achieve this. Where am I going to start? But also goals that when you think about it, you know that if you can achieve this goal, it's going to radically change your life. I think those are the kind of goals that you should set. Does it mean that you shouldn't have small goals? No. But here's the point. We set small goals to get a level of pleasure and fulfillment in the present. We set big goals to give us focus, to give us a vision, to give us inspiration, to go for something much bigger than we can. Greatness lies within each and every one of us. And if you keep tiptoeing your way towards the end of your life, that's like taking, small bite-sized chunks out of maybe a piece of steak. What you want is you want to have some juicy bites, and that means you may have to set bigger goals, much bigger than perhaps you have the mental ability to achieve on your own. But here is what I love about goal setting that I'm going to leave with you. The greater your goals are, the more faith you need. The stronger your faith, the quicker you achieve the goal. The bigger your goals are, the more you then recognize and realize, I don't have to do this alone. I can bring in other people into this vision. That means you bring in what we call the law of agreement, where you can say to 1 or 2 or 3 more people, would you help me achieve this goal? So having big goals takes you from a lifestyle of where you're looking at success from an individualistic point of view to where you start looking at success from a collective point of view, where you can bring in and attract other people into the vision, and all of you can achieve success.